Hi, I'm Scott McLean from TranceMusicMastery.com. In this video, I will show you how Adam Sabo created a bass sound like the one heard in Between the Rays original mix by Orjan Nilsen. And the sound that Adam created sounds like this. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the MIDI clip. Let me move these windows out of the way. Sort of a rolling bass line pattern, series of groupings of 3 1/16 notes, and it's based on, let me just fold this, it's based on G. So it goes from G, D sharp, C, D sharp, D sharp, C, and then D sharp. And then occasionally you'll see an A in there with an F. You can go ahead and download the pattern and inspect it more closely. And so let me play through the sequence. Okay, let's go ahead and bring up the sound map. And Adam Sabo says, a standard plucky bass sound with a couple of saw oscillators layered for a nice and gritty sound. So we have oscillator 1, 2, and 3. Oscillator 1 and 2 are single saw waves, and oscillator 3 is a dual saw wave. Those are mixed and flow into a filter. This is an LP vintage filter type with envelope 2 modulating the filter cutoff with zero attack, medium decay, sustain at 0, and a fast release. That flows into an amplifier with the volume being modulated by envelope 1 with zero attack, medium decay, sustain at 13.5%, and a fast release. That then flows into an EQ with bandpass plus 1.5 dB boost near 150 Hz, then a bandpass plus 2.0 dB boost near 1.75 kHz, and a high shelf plus 2 dB boost near 5.5 kHz. That then flows into a delay. This is a stereo delay with left and right at 1/8, 25% dry wet mix, and very low feedback. So it's a very short feedback delay setting. And then that flows into the main output. Okay, let's build this patch. Okay, I'm going to start with the initialized patch, and let's just take a listen. Okay, so we've got our familiar saw wave init patch in place. Okay, so for oscillator 1, what we're going to do is enable the phase restart on note start, and then tune it down 1 octave. So set this tune to -12. And then set the mixer volume. We're going to bring that up to 110. And then in the oscillator section, what we're going to do is set the normalize to 10. And what that will do is it will actually increase the level of the wave slightly. Okay, next we want to add oscillator 2. And for oscillator 2, we're going to enable the phase reset on note start. We're going to change the phase, set that to 50. And next what I want to do is bring the volume level down on oscillator 2. I want to set that to 80. And then for oscillator 2, we're also going to increase the normalized level on it to 15 to bring it up a little bit. Okay, we're going to add oscillator 3 next. Set the voices to dual and detune those, setting the detune to 10. helped fatten up the sound. And then also set the phase on this oscillator, oscillator 3. Set the phase to 50. And then finally we're going to use oscillator 3 to help widen the sound, so we'll set the width to 100. Okay, now let's address the envelope settings. For the envelope, we're going to set the attack, leave that at 0, set the decay time to 33, sustain, we'll bring that all the way down to 13.5, release, bringing that down to 3, and then velocity, set that to 0. So I'll go ahead and make those changes now, starting with the velocity. Okay, and by having that low sustain level and a short decay, it gives it more of a plucky attack characteristic. Alright, next we want to add VCF1, which is our filter, and we'll set the type to LP vintage and bring the cutoff down to 70. And then bring the follow up to 10. And then finally add modulation of the cutoff frequency using ENV2. We'll set the amount to 40. And now we can go ahead and configure the envelope 2 parameters. Okay, for envelope 2 we're going to set attack to 0, decay to 36, sustain, we'll bring that down to 0, release, set it to 3, and then velocity, set it to 0. So let me go ahead and make those changes. Okay, next let's add an EQ. And for the EQ, we're going to set the low pass filter all the way to the left at 55 Hertz with 0 gain, so we're just moving it all the way to the left. And then filter 2, we're going to put a 1.5 dB boost at, well, between 100 and 175, so probably close to 120, 130. So let me go ahead and do that. And we want a rather wide bandwidth on this, so we're going to set the Q to 10. And then with filter 3, we're going to apply a 2.0 dB boost near 1.75 kilohertz, just above it. And lower the resonance or Q value to 23. And then with filter 4, going to apply a plus 2 dB boost just above 5.5 kilohertz. So let me demonstrate with and without those EQ settings. Very, very subtle EQ work here. These adjustments are very slight. You know, we're just talking 1.5 dB boost here near 120, 130 hertz. Slight bump, a 2 dB bump here right around 1.75 kilohertz, and then another slight bump here at 5.5 kilohertz. And it seems to have more presence when we listen to this. At least that's what I interpret it, perceive it as, the differences. So let me do that again. So this is with the EQ. And then let's add delay. So for this we want to set the sync time to 1/8 on both sync 1 and sync 2. The mix, I'll bring that up to 25. We're not going to have any crossback and very little feedback. So I'll start with feedback at 0, and then I'll bring the mix up to 25. So with a feedback of 0, I'm just going to hit one note here on the keyboard. In fact, let me make sure that the channel, the track, is armed for MIDI input. So I'm just going to hit a G note. So we hear one delay, one repeat of the note. Now, feedback, we're going to set that to 2. So now listen. So 2 versus 0. Play a higher note. We hear just a little bit of a second hit or a second repeat on the delay. So we hear that first one, then a very low second one. So very subtle feedback amount there as well. So then when we play the whole thing, it sounds like this right now. And then one more adjustment to make. We want to bring the overall output level up to 200 and the master down to 50. Okay, that's the patch. I'll see you in the next video.